The afternoon sun spilled through the wide glass windows of the roadside diner, turning the dust in the air into tiny floating sparks, but the warmth of the light did nothing to soften the coldness inside the room. Hunger has a sound when it settles deep in the body, a quiet ache that makes the world feel heavier, and 12-year-old Aaron Cole felt it in every step as he stood near the entrance, his shoes worn thin, his shirt too big for his small shoulders, and his stomach empty since the night before. He had walked 3 miles under the bright sky, past gas stations and silent fields, holding onto a single hope that maybe, just maybe, someone would see him today. If you believe that kindness still matters in a world that often forgets the smallest voices, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Journal for more stories about second chances and humanity at its best. Aaron had not planned to come to this diner. He never planned much anymore. Since his mother fell sick and the small apartment they shared was taken away, days had turned into long stretches of walking, waiting, and hoping. That morning, the sun was already high when he noticed the diner sign glowing red against the blue sky, promising hot food and cold drinks. The smell reached him before the building did, a mix of frying potatoes and fresh bread, and his legs carried him forward before his mind could remind him that he had no money. He only wanted to ask if there was something small he could do, wipe tables, take out trash, anything in exchange for a meal. Inside, the diner was busy with lunchtime traffic. Truck drivers, office workers, and travelers filled the booths, laughter and clinking plates echoing under the hum of ceiling fans. Behind the counter stood Marvin Klein, the manager, a man whose pressed shirt and tight jaw made it clear that control mattered more to him than compassion. Marvin noticed Aaron almost immediately. He saw the oversized clothes, the hesitation in the boy's eyes, and instead of curiosity or concern, irritation crossed his face. In his world, every minute was money, and every interruption was a threat to order. Aaron stood quietly near the counter, waiting for the right moment, rehearsing his words in his head. His mouth felt dry, his hands trembled slightly, and his heart raced as if he were about to take a test he could not afford to fail. When he finally tried to speak, the words barely came out, swallowed by the noise of the diner. Marvin did not ask questions. He did not ask why a child was alone or why hunger had hollowed his face. He simply pointed toward the door with sharp certainty, his expression telling Aaron he did not belong there. The room felt suddenly silent to Aaron, even though nothing had changed. Faces turned away quickly, some pretending not to notice, others glancing with discomfort. Aaron's ears burned as he stepped backward, the sunlight outside now blinding as he pushed the door open. The bell above the entrance rang cheerfully, cruelly cheerful, as if mocking the moment. Outside, the heat wrapped around him, and he sat on the curb, hugging his knees, trying not to cry. He had been turned away before, but it never got easier. Hunger hurt, but being invisible hurt more. Minutes passed slowly. Cars pulled in and out of the parking lot, tires crunching over gravel. Aaron stared at the ground, tracing cracks in the pavement, imagining they were roads leading somewhere safer. He told himself not to hope again. Hope, he had learned, could be painful. Then the sound came, low at first, like distant thunder rolling across the land. Engines. Not one or two, but many, growing louder, stronger, until the air itself seemed to vibrate. A line of motorcycles turned into the parking lot, their chrome catching the sunlight, leather jackets dark against the bright day. They parked carefully, one by one, engines cutting off until the sudden quiet felt heavy. Aaron looked up, startled. He had seen bikers before, always from far away, always with a mix of fear and fascination. These men and women moved with confidence, laughter rumbling between them, their presence filling the space as surely as the sun filled the sky. One of them noticed Aaron sitting alone, his small frame out of place among the machines. The group entered the diner together, and the energy inside shifted immediately. Conversations paused, forks stopped midair, and Marvin straightened his posture, his professional smile snapping into place. Bikers meant attention, sometimes trouble, but mostly business. They took over a large table near the windows, ordering food with easy confidence. Aaron watched from outside, his heart sinking again. They were inside, eating, while he remained hungry and forgotten, but not forgotten for long. A woman from the group, Rhea Morrison, glanced out the window and met Aaron's eyes. Something in his expression stopped her cold. She had seen hardship before, had lived through years when kindness from strangers had saved her more than once. She nudged the man beside her, Caleb Vance, and pointed subtly toward the window. Caleb followed her gaze, his brow furrowing as he took in the sight of the boy sitting alone in the heat. Without hesitation, Rhea stood and walked outside, her boots steady against the pavement. Erin stiffened as she approached, unsure whether to run or stay. She did not tower over him or speak harshly. She simply sat on the curb a few feet away, matching his level, letting the silence breathe. In that quiet space, Erin felt something unfamiliar, a sense that he was being seen, not judged. Inside the diner, Marvin noticed the interaction through the window, annoyance flickering across his face. He did not know why, but something about the bikers watching him made him uneasy. Meanwhile, Rhea listened as Erin, encouraged by her calm presence, shared fragments of his story, the sickness, the lost home, the long walks under the sun. He spoke softly, as if afraid his truth might be taken away if he spoke too loudly. Rhea stood, placed a gentle hand on Erin's shoulder, and led him toward the diner door. When they entered together, the atmosphere shifted again, but this time, it was different. The bikers fell silent, watching closely. Marvin stepped forward quickly, his smile tight, his tone controlled. He gestured toward the counter, making it clear that the boy could not stay. The room held its breath. Caleb rose from his seat slowly, followed by the rest of the group. Chairs scraped softly against the floor as they stood together, not aggressively, but firmly, like a wall built from quiet resolve. Caleb spoke calmly, explaining that they would not be eating unless the boy was allowed to sit, eat, and be treated with basic dignity. No threats were made. No raised voices filled the air. It was the kind of strength that did not need shouting. Marvin's face flushed, his eyes around the diner turned toward him. Customers whispered among themselves, some nodding in agreement, others watching with growing discomfort. The manager felt something crack inside him, a realization that the room was no longer under his control. He looked at Erin again, really looked this time, and saw not a problem, but a child who had been failed by more than just one man. Reluctantly at first, then with a visible sigh, Marvin nodded. He gestured toward an empty booth near the biker's table. Erin hesitated, unsure if this was real, but Rhea guided him gently forward. When the plate of food arrived, steam rising into the daylight-filled room, Erin stared at it as if it might disappear. The first bite brought tears to his eyes, not just from hunger, but from relief. As Erin ate, the diner seemed warmer, brighter. Conversations resumed, but with a softer tone. Marvin retreated behind the counter, shaken. Watching the boy eat stirred memories he had buried deep, of his own childhood, of nights when his family had struggled and strangers had helped. Shame settled heavy in his chest. He realized that efficiency and rules had slowly replaced empathy, and he wondered when that had happened. When the bikers finished their meal, Caleb paid for everything, including Erin's food, and left a generous tip. Before leaving, Rhea knelt beside Erin and pressed a small card into his hand, information about a local shelter and a community center that helped kids like him. She reminded him that this moment did not define him, that better days could come. The engines roared back to life under the afternoon sun, and the group rode away, leaving behind more than just tire marks. They left a ripple of change. Marvin stood quietly, watching through the window, then turned toward Erin. He did not speak much, but his actions changed. He offered Erin water, asked if he was safe for the night, and made a call to a local outreach program he had never bothered to contact before. Erin stepped back outside later, the sun still high, the world looking slightly different than it had that morning. His stomach was full, but more importantly, his heart felt lighter. He had learned that kindness could come from unexpected places, that even when doors closed, others might open wide enough to let the light in. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel something real, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in humanity, and subscribe to Kindness Journal so more stories like this can reach those who need them. And before you go, please comment one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know. As Erin walked down the sunlit road, the sound of engines fading in the distance, he carried with him more than a full stomach. He carried proof that compassion still existed, that strangers could become guardians for a moment, and that even in the harsh brightness of day, hope could rise quietly, patiently.